Hold on, let me just do one last check. Just make sure
Make sure
all these
everything's
shots are
working.
looking good.
Mic check 1 2 1 2.
Yeah,
you nervous?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be the one nervous.
Okay.
All right, and let's go.
That's what's up.
Can you please tell me your name?
D-Rock from Renegade Rockers from the Bay Area, San Francisco, California.
Can you tell me a little bit about your childhood?
Man, so long ago. Growing up, man, for me it was a lot of activity, a lot of outdoor activity, right? A lot of like hanging around outside with friends, neighbors, stuff like that. Going to the park, you know, just kicking it. You know what I mean? Just being outside, you know.
Yeah. When did you start dancing?
I started young. I started like in like 3rd grade. It's so long that I can't tell you a year. That's when I first got exposed to it. I wasn't like dancing like full time by then, but I knew like I had a passion for it. So I would like, you know, play sports a little bit and then dabble with the breaking. And then it wasn't until a little bit later then I was just like, you know, this is it, you know, this is what I want to do. You know, breaking is like gonna be my thing, you know. Man, the dance scene when I started, it was it was a lot of house parties. So people would be like doing garage parties a lot. There'd be a mix of styles of dancers in the garage, like house, breaking, poppers, all young, all teenagers, basically teenagers throwing parties when their parents aren't around, you know what I mean? Or sometimes the parents would be around, but for the most part, no, you know? During that time, during when for me, it was like a lot of, like I said, house parties and a lot of like private practices, like only a few practices were happening here and there, you know? What was dancing like? I would say just, man, a lot of fun, you know? Like, alongside with the passion for the dance and all that, like the environment, like meeting new people, you know, basically like you have your crew, right? You have your crew, you're in your youth, you got really not much to worry about besides like just breaking and like making sure your room's clean or whatever, you know? But yeah, it's probably one of the best times of my life, to be honest, you know, just being free, being able to just break, you know? Some of the biggest memories I have like is traveling to events. So there'd be parties, right? Let's just say like Fremont. Mind you, this is back in the day, right? So we you want to go so bad to dance that you wouldn't even like. I would somehow get there, but have no way to get back. So it'd be like 5 of us. We'd be there and be like, all right, so how are we getting home? We already knew this time was coming, but it's like, all right. Everybody called their parents, and my mom was not having it. They're like, "Hey, how'd you get there? You better get home," you know.
Yeah.
So a lot of those nights, a lot of those days where it's like, it's either you're asking a favor or like you're walking from super far. You know what I mean? So yeah, I remember those times.
Yeah, problem.
So like, you know, now it's like there's a lot of teaching, a lot of tutorials. But back then you had to be really lucky to have someone to just show you anything, you know, because a lot of like, you know, coming up there was a lot of different crews, right? And it wasn't like always very sharing, right? Like it was like I knew how to do this and I'm not gonna show you how to do anything, right? So if you wanted to learn, it was either gonna be repetition, right? Like you have to just find a video, some clip from a movie or whatever. I think breaking had a few clips that I would watch, and you would have to try to figure it out, you know? That was in the beginning. Later on, as I got deeper in the game, then like, you know, my crew members like Schlep Rock, Chris Lopez, Aki, Blue Boy, they helped me a lot with, you know, just being around and like, you know, just helping me with little tips here and there. So when I got down, Renegades, I was just a teenager. I think I was like 12 or something. I don't think I was even a teenager yet. And yeah, so we would have crew practices, and they would always be there, and they were already doing the dynamic moves, you know, like Chris Lopez had the sickest halos, like everybody knew Chris Lopez for that. Aki, he had the dopest head spins. Blue Boy could do flips, like he could flip over like 10 people. So they're already doing these moves. Then we had Vic, he was like the footwork master, right? Like everybody else was doing power, then Vic was already on it. He already knew the sauce and he was already like doing footwork and doing both, you know, which was crazy. And then Schleprock, same thing. I don't know if I missed anybody out, but Schleprock, he was definitely another older cat that was there quite a bit, and he also had dynamic power, but he also included it with the freezes. So he just didn't have the power, so he had the power with the dope endings, you know. So yeah, back then I feel like it was still a very underground dance, but it was really, there was a time it was just, the numbers were pretty big. Like there was a lot of people breaking. Like everywhere you went, battles were happening. I think that was probably like early 90s where it was just like, or even before that was just like, it was just crazy, you know? But yeah, so the media, you know, they still call it break dancing, you know? We always knew it as breaking, right? You know, when that movie Breaking came out, I think that was probably the peak of it. And then it went into like this like little down low, like underground vibe, you know what I mean? But how people were seeing it, it was fresh. Even till now, I feel like, you know, b-boying is like top tier, you know, in dance in general, because it's hard. It's one of the hardest dances, you know. It was always a good thing. There was never a negative, you know, within us. Like maybe outside people were kind of seeing it as, you know, like a where it wasn't too positive, because the way we dressed and, you know, stuff like that. But internally, nothing but good things are happening, you know. We weren't out, like we could have been out doing other stuff, but we were breaking, you know what I mean? So yeah. Okay, so yes, first starting up, like I said, it was a lot of house parties, right? A lot of house parties, a lot of individual practices, a bunch of garage practices. Like, you know, basically, like I had my whole garage was like just ramped up for me to break. My whole living room, I used to just move it to break. My next door neighbor did the same thing. So everybody had their garage sessions, you know? So it was a garage thing for a while. And then, you know, as I started meeting more people in the scene, more events started happening, right? So, you know, like the big ones, you probably know Best of the Best, a lot of San Jose jams. So that's how the journey started. The jams in the beginning were a lot of ciphers, mostly ciphers, you know what I mean? Like you would go, so it went from house parties to jams, small jams, which included a lot of like ciphers, people battling in the ciphers. And then from there, it kind of transitioned into like a lot of battles, like a 2v2 battles, trophies, cash prizes. And then, you know, obviously that went on for a long period of time. You know, that still goes on till now. And then now we're on the next level, right? Now it's Olympics, now it's Red Bull, you know? So, yeah, but the very beginning was house parties to small cypher jams to the competitions. So battles for me, it was intense. Like it was different like before. Like it mattered so much, right? Because like, say for example, you had a battle. You wouldn't see a battle for a long period of time. It could be months, right? For you to prove what you needed to prove, right? So like whatever, like whoever was in front of you was trying to take your pride, you know? So it was pretty raw. It was a raw feeling. There was anger, there was like, you know, a lot of passion involved in the battles. And it wasn't like, it was in the days where it wasn't always as safe as it is now. You know, it was a little bit more rough, you know, fights would happen. A lot of gangs was happening at the time. So it was, you know, different time. But yeah, you know, that was back in the day. You know, as I progress, battles, yes, are that important, but it was more of an art later on, you know? You just keep going, right? You keep going and you see a lot of, you know, people fall off, right? And now, you know, like you're ahead of everything, you know, you're pretty much, the moves you're doing are now like top tier, you know? Now you're kind of like, damn, there's not too many people are doing this anymore, right? So now, and you don't want to stop. So now you're doing a lot of maybe practices by yourself and now it's, you know, that's how, to me, that's how it turns into an art. You know, like you're doing it without any other reason, you know? You're just doing it because it makes you happy, and like, you know, this is what you do now, you know? Yeah, the criminal, okay, so I don't see nothing wrong with it. I feel like any more exposure that we can get, the better. You know, there is some bad exposure out there, but for the most part, I like where it's headed. There's growth happening. The more eyes we can get on breaking, the better. So yeah, I like the way it's going. I would like to see, if I were to give any feedback on it, like anything, I would just like to see a little bit more originality in there. You know what I'm saying? A little bit more of like different, you know, like, I don't know, it's hard to explain with that, but I'm seeing a lot of the same cadences and like same rhythms, same moves. You know, I kind of want to see something a little bit different. But other than that, you know, some of the moves are amazing. One-hand air flares, I mean, shit. Who would have thought, you know? Who would have thought? I would have never thought of that back in the day, you know? But even when I saw the first air flare, I was like, damn, this is crazy, you know? Like, if I could already see it, like people doing multiples, it's gonna be wild, you know? Moments, dude, it was all over the place. So I can remember my first real moment where I was like, damn, was World War III, I think. It was called World War III. Is a jam, I think, in San Jose. And, you know, I was performing with the group called Fusion. And at that time, I could do like mostly my basic power. I could do head spins, windmills, hops. So my main move was like head spin to one-hand hops, right? That was like the move that was my main move, right? And then, you know, this is kind of like knowing there's some dope people out there, but never like, I never saw something like this. So like, Lil Caesar and I think it was Robbie, Lil Caesar, or I think it was Willpower. Lil Caesar and Willpower were at that event, and they were just going off. Like they were doing the crazy, they were doing forever head spins, L's, stars, and I was just like, they were just clearly above and beyond anybody else, you know? So yeah, that was the moment I was like, damn, this is probably like, I need to get better, you know? Because if they're doing it, but I was a teenager at the time, but that super inspired me. So shout out to Lil Caesar and Willpower. So it started in '83, so we're like 40 plus years doing it. So from my memory, it was like the guys I mentioned earlier, like Schlep, Vic, Blue Boy, Chris Lopez. Those are Aki. Those are my OGs. I'm second generation, so those are the guys that brought me in. And then from there, you know, we have Wicked, myself, Politics. Man, the list goes on. The list goes on. So basically, like, you know, I could keep naming names, but like we just been at it for a very long time. Some of the things that Renegades are known for is like the Radiotron. Have you guys ever heard Radiotron? It's like a really big jam that happened, you know, a long time ago. And yeah, a lot of historic stuff happened that day. Style elements and Renegades battle, and it was pretty dope. Yeah. So and then now current. So we've had second, third, fourth, and now we're on our 5th generation Renegades. So we're still going strong. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I was always teaching. You know, I was always kind of helping my crew, or like, I always just had that in me. Like even when like it was like, you know, don't tell nobody the secrets and all that. I was always like, I didn't really care. So I was just like, hey, like let me help you with your windmill or whatever. So that was, I feel like that was always there. And then as you get older in the scene, or you get more, you know, people start like gonna ask you. You know what I'm saying? The people are gonna ask you like, yeah, how do I do this? How do I do that? So from there, I got repetition on, you know, helping people how to get to where they need to get to, and then from there, you know, I started realizing like, hey, this is cool. Like, you know, like what I'm doing is working, you know. And then I started doing it like as a gig, you know, as a job. And as a dancer, like, you're not gonna pay the bills just breaking, right? Like, it's just, you know, that's the time. So in order to like stay within my realm, I took on, you know, teaching classes. And from there, it just kept on building. Now I'm like 10 plus teaching, you know. But I think that's how it starts with everybody, right? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's a very good question. Dude, I've been doing it for like so long. I feel like it's such a huge part of my life, you know, like I've even like tried to like be like, okay, maybe it's time for me to do something else and like just but it just always brings me back, you know, like either my crew or like, I'm just so invested into it, you know. So what it means to me, it's a lifelong project, you know. Like it's something that's, I've made a choice a long time ago that I'm doing it till the wheels fall off, you know. So it's kind of guided me to where I'm at today, right? Like, taught me so many different tools, like, you know, keep going, right? Like, you'll figure it out, because in breaking, that's basically what it is, right? Like, you may not know how to do something, but with practice and repetition and will, you'll be able to get it done, right? So it's taught me a lot of values. So that's what that means to me. It's taught me a lot of like life lessons, because I didn't really do a lot of individual battles. So, because I did a lot of cypher battles, right? A lot of cypher battles, but like actual individual battles. The one that stands out to me is Pro-Am Hawaii, because I went there and it was like a pretty big competition, and you know, there's a lot of good battlers, and I kind of went there. I was like, all right, I'm doing this on my own. You know, prior to that, I was doing a lot of crew battles, so that one's probably the one that stands out the most. Damn, that's a tough one. You have to let me think about that one. But like, I would say like, biggest moment, wow. I don't know, I have to get back to you. I can't answer that. That's a good one though. That's a good one. All right, peace out. Hopefully it works. Hey, I don't mind doing this again too if you need to. You know what I mean?